So of course, when people migrate, they bring their food traditions with them. Those don't just get left behind. With the immigration of the Chinese, we see some interesting material items that are left behind having to do with these different foods that they brought with them, foods that were imported specifically for the Chinese. And I was surprised that we had this many containers having to do with traditional food and food storage. So let's take a look at that. So we have some chopsticks here, of course, from our collection. But the things I really want to highlight are some of these jars. So these are called wine pots. Some people say they had wine in them. Other people said wine was easily made here, so sometimes this would have more specialty liquors in them that you couldn't easily make in the US. Here's a ceramic pot that probably held some kind of food in it, maybe. It's got an interesting lid and all these kind of ties and things around it probably kept that lid on and secure. Here's another one of those wine pots. And these are called Chinese brown glazed stoneware or utilitarian brownware. And a lot of times when people would use the container, they'd hang on to it and they'd reuse it for something else. So, at one point in time it might have had a liquor, some kind of liquor in it, but then they might have used it for storing other things. Here's another one. This one's got a little spout on it. So a lot of people call this a soy sauce pot. In some circumstances, people would use them for tea, although that's not super, super common. There are a couple of other jars around that are sometimes called tea jars, and those were used for holding fermenting black tea. But also, there were oils, soy sauces, pickled carrots, scallions, salted cabbage, melons, cucumbers, ginger, salty duck eggs may have also been transported in these kinds of pots. And then, of course, they were hung on to and people used them for other things. So also in this case, this case has one of the kind of more interesting text components of this exhibit. And this was picked up from the Trinity County Historical Society. They have the originals, so these are just scans. But these are letters, or this is the envelope, and this is a letter that was written from a miner at Weaverville to his big brother. And the text of this, I'll kind of read it out for you. So the translation kind of reads a little bit easier than the direct transliteration of it. So I'll read the translation. So this reads, "This is to inform my big brother. I, your younger brother, have a problem caused by the behavior of this prostitute, which has been frequently not good. But there's nothing much one can do. Thinking it over and over, I really have no strategies to deal with the problem. I have no alternatives but to plan on returning," and then the translator wasn't sure if it said home in China, "soon, as not wanting to stay with her. However, I am in debt a lot, which makes it hard to plan anything. Therefore, I am attaching a letter with that of Ku Zhu to you. Let Ah Jing prepare $100 for my boat ticket. I will leave town in the middle of the 4th month. If you have money, letter for home, or any other business, should quickly send it to San Francisco to Liu Yan. I will pick them up. Any delay will not make it. Please hurry up. I beg you to understand for lack of details. Thus is my note to you. I wish my big brother good health. 23rd day of the 3rd month of the Wu year. Shi Zhang, younger brother at Weaverville." So the Wu year, as the translator kind of goes in to understand, the Wu year could either be 1868, 1878, 1888, or 1898. And so the outside of the envelope, read that real quick. So it has 2 seal marks on the outside, and it says, "Inside is an important letter. Pray to be opened by Big Brother Liu Pengong at Gushou Bar/Wine Shop from Liu Shizang, brother at Weaverville." And this is something a lot of people get a kick out of reading this letter. But these are the kind of things that I really like to keep an eye out for to really bring the human element into this exhibit and into many other exhibits that we do. This kind of story really brings things to life for people. And then this was another document that was kind of interesting, and this has to deal with burial traditions. So it says here, and this is kind of a little hard to read on the video, so I'll read it out loud. Weaverville, California, August 18th, 1913. Permission is hereby granted for the disinterment and removal of the remains of Mar Ye Lim, whose death occurred 10 years ago at the age of 76 years of a non-infectious disease. The remains to be moved from the Chinese public cemetery to San Francisco, California, thence to China. Date signed and permission granted this 18th day of August, 1913. Health officer for Trinity County, California, USA. So it was really important for for the Chinese workers here that they be buried in China with their ancestors. And there were some of the threats you would see against the Chinese people would be, you're going to die here and you're going to stay here. We're not going to send your body back to China. And that was a very grave threat against Chinese people here in the county and in other counties. As you can see, this is from Trinity County. This is a reproduction of a document they have. And it was really important that these Chinese folks make it back to China. So this was, 1913, and this person had died in 1903, and they were just then being taken back to China. So with that, we're gonna go check out the next part of the exhibit. This is on how events in Eureka and different parts of the county kind of conspired to lead to the expulsion of most Chinese folks in Humboldt County. So we'll go check that out next.